and welcome to the first show on Pink Basket TV, where we'll be featuring great chats with the business owners, entrepreneurs, innovators, dreamers, passionate people. You can tell I really actually love business owners, can't you? So I promise you, this is going to be nothing boring or stiff at all. We are going to have some fun chats and learn and be inspired and get caught up in the passion. A little about me to get this out of the way before we start rolling our weekly interviews. I will be your host, and my name is Antoine Elhashem. My study was creative advertising and broadcasting, and my background for a 32-year career was in media, and it's been all about media, marketing, and loving and working with business owners. I'm the president of Inspired Media, as well as host of one of the longest running and most successful community talk shows on the couch, now in season 6 on Rogers TV across pretty much all of Ontario. That's it. That's my intro. Now, why don't we get on with meeting our first guest on Pink Basket TV? We are chatting with Stacey Gonder from the House of Sass Magic. Let me bring her on. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Great. How are you? How's your day?
Doing good. I'm doing good. I'm happy the sun shines out today.
It is a nice day, yes. And it's going to get warmer, so hopefully that'll create a bit of happy as long as we keep being watchful.
Absolutely.
And not forget that the faster we can, or the more we can do, the faster we can get back to normal.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, behind the business, I always say there's the people. So I know this is going to be a big question, but let's see how we can do it. Tell us
Sure.
about you, your background, who you are, and what lead us to the path. What led you on the path to launching your business?
Well, I own two different businesses, and one kind of led me to the other. I grew up as a dancer, dancing professionally for many years, and I was a dance adjudicator, and a performer and a teacher. So doing jazz, tap, ballet, hip hop, that whole kind of thing. And when I was in my kind of mid to late 20s, I decided, well, actually, I didn't decide, somebody decided for me that I wasn't going to perform anymore. So yeah, I kind of didn't know what to do with my life because that's all I had ever done. So I went back to school and learned, I didn't know how to sew. I didn't know anything. So I enrolled in costume studies and did a 4-year program in 18 months. And so, yeah, so I learned how to do and build costumes for primarily dancers because I used my background in dance to kind of organically work my way into that world. So I did that for quite some time. And then I realized that that world follows the school season because it's mostly children that I deal with.
Okay.
So I found that I had this chunk of time in the summer that I didn't have anything to do and I didn't have a stream of revenue. So I decided to marry my love of dance and costuming with my love of music festivals. My older brother does drag, and so my love of that world. And I just kind of smushed all those worlds together and created the House of Sass Magic. And decided to, actually, it was funny, one of our very first events that we ever sold to the public at was World Pride. And so we kind of went from 0 to 100 in like no time.
That wasn't the best time. It was crazy time. I worked on World Pride. I was the chair of marketing and communications for World Pride. So
Yeah.
I know that was even I could tell you that's a very crazy time.
Yeah, I can remember one moment standing in our booth and looking across the street, and you couldn't see the sidewalk on the other side of the street because there were so many people.
Then we did our job.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my goodness, what did we get ourselves into? But that's kind of how I arrived at the House of Sass Magic, and that was 5-6 years ago now, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what, guys? I've seen her display, Tracy's displays, everything, and they are gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. But you're a Toronto resident. You've always been in Toronto. You've always in Toronto.
I've been in Toronto probably close to 20 years. I grew up in rural Ontario, east of the city. I'm a farm girl at heart. I know, so a lot of people don't believe it. They're like, yeah, right.
You're such a city girl.
Yeah, I got out of there pretty darn quick. I was like, it's great to go. My parents still live on the farm that we grew up on, and I can handle a visit. But I'm like, I need to get out of here. I need some action. I need some things to do.
Um, let's talk about the business.
Sure.
What makes the House of Sass Magic unique, and what makes it stand out? We all, you know what, brag all you want, because I always and every recommend for every business owner, you have to be. I know we all say I am the best, but you have to feel you're the best. So why are you the best?
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, I feel like we create an environment that's A, very safe, B, very creative, and C, very conducive to what the person that's visiting us needs. It's not like you're going to go into our locations, whether it's on site at a festival or on site at a convention, or whether it's here in our studio where we do private shopping experiences. You're not going to come here as if you're walking into a commercial store in the mall and you get the same experience every time. I like to say that it's a user-based creation. And so it's really about the relationship that you want to have with the clothing and with the experience. You know, we cater to a range of clientele that can be anything from a cosplayer that's going to Comic-Con and or Fan Expo all the way
Wow.
and then
Who
we also
does?
yeah, and then we also work with different drag queens, and then we work with just some people who maybe aren't comfortable with a commercial setting, and so they want to shop privately. And it's really about making sure that that person feels that they're getting what they need out of the experience. And I say this all the time. I'm like, I don't make these clothes for me. Like, yes, it's fun, and I love being creative, but they're for other people to wear and other people to interact with.
And you
So
want their experience, to be unique. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. We've had instances where we've been at different events and people will come into the booth and try on different clothing, and they might not even end up buying anything, but we've had it happen more than once where they tell us that they feel so important and they feel that they've had an opportunity to do something that they've never been able to do otherwise. I had one girl in tears at Pride. She was like, my self-esteem is so bad, but you guys made me feel so beautiful. And that's what's important. That's what I want to have people walk away with,
Aww.
whether that's wearing the clothing or whether that's just walking away with something that they can carry with them, and I feel like that's what makes us stand apart. It's not, obviously making money is a thing, but that isn't what drives me. That isn't what drives me to have
Good for
this
you.
business at
You know
all.
what? As I said in the first question, businesses are people and consumers are
Mhm.
people. At the end of the day, it's about the people experience.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
it's not about how much I paid for something or how much I got paid for something. It's about how it felt
Hmm.
shopping, or it felt how to sell something.
Yeah,
So yeah, all right.
absolutely.
Speaking of delivering service, what are you doing differently now, and what changes did you have to make to adapt to COVID-19, if you have managed to adapt to
Yeah,
COVID-19?
it's been a bit of a roller coaster, I won't lie.
Okay.
Because like I have a set of staff. I have a staff of 3, and we're considered non-essential, so we were shut down mid-March. Which from a business end it took me a minute to wrap my head around, what are we going to do? How are we going to navigate through this? And once I kind of figured out I did have to lay some staff off, which felt terrible, but I mean, it is what it is. I was able to keep
Get
some
them
staff.
back.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the intention, once everything quote unquote goes back to normal. Um, but I was able to kind of work out that I have some staff members working from home, and I do a weekly porch drop off of things for them to assemble at home. And I've been doing a lot of the work here myself, because I do live and work in my studio. And I've been doing a mask initiative. I guess I started that the first week of April, where I'm doing a pay what you can model for non-medical grade
Wow,
masks.
good for you.
Yeah, thanks. And so it's a pay what you can model for non-frontline and non-essential workers. I hate saying non-essential because we're all essential in some way,
Nice.
shape, or form.
Nicely said. Good for you.
Thank you. And so it's so it's free for the frontline and healthcare workers, and then a pay what you can model for everybody else. And that's been, it's been overwhelming, to be honest. Like, I can't sew masks fast enough. It's been incredible. Yeah, it's been incredible.
And keeping you going. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Away from COVID-19, because our lives are not going to always be about this.
Right. Let's hope not.
I actually just had another interview on my other talk show, and I was saying, I hope that in 10 years we're going to be, do you remember the few months that we lived online?
Yeah.
Yay. Hopefully, yes. So what other than COVID-19, what lessons over the years have you learned? I know when we start a business, we have a certain idea in mind of how our business is going to be like.
Yeah.
But we adapt and change. How did you learn to serve and cater to your clients based on what you learned over the years?
Yeah, I mean, the brand has really matured, in my opinion, over the last, 4 or 5 years since we started. Originally, I had this grand plan where I was going to be this traveling gypsy, and I was going to, I was going to see the world and sell my wares, and everybody was going to love it. And I did do that, but it's not conducive to, it's not sustainable.
Running a business?
It's not sustainable. So in the last couple of years, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, because over the last couple of years, I've realized, more people do shop online. More people are, I like to say this to some of my staff. I'm like, everybody wants to be different, but they're also really scared to not be the same as everybody else. I feel like we're conditioned a little bit to not go completely outside the box, because if we do, then we might be ridiculed. So I have had to find kind of a fine line between giving people, I came up with a good line the other day, is that I'm not here to change your mind. I'm here to educate you, to give you a choice. So it's like, you know what, if this is who you are, this is what you do, this is what you're into, cool. I'm not going to change your mind. But there is this other stuff that you might want to give, a try to. And I think that's been really important, where I think I maybe at the beginning wanted everybody to just like be one of a kind, just like our clothing is, which, I mean, in some way, shape, or form, I truly believe we all are. But when you look at commercialism and capitalism and consumerism, it really tries to funnel you into kind of a herd mentality. Yeah. So I've kind of had to like put one foot inside that box for a minute.
And that's what I like about you when I see you at shows and trade shows. You're totally outside of the box. In a great way.
It's never occurred to me to fit inside that box.
Who are your clients, Tracy? And I what do you call it? I don't mean their age group or the demographic. Yeah. What are your clients' spirit? Who are they?
They're big, they're bold, they're outside the box, they're free spirits, they're people willing to take risks. What I find the common thread amongst everybody that, really gravitates towards us, and, what I've deemed over the last few years our Sass ambassadors, is that at some point in their life, they have felt somewhat ostracized and or ridiculed for being who they are, essentially. And like I said earlier, I think what bonds us when they find us is that, like, I'm like, cool, like that's, no matter what shape, size, ethnicity, gender, whatever, like, come on in and have a good time and make whatever choices you want to make. Because who am I? Like, I am not so bold to say that I have some sort of almighty power to say that that's not okay. you know, and I think that that's really important, that like, I'm not going to give myself that power. That's your own power, and you need to own that power and go out in the world and show it to everybody.
Your clients are lucky. If
No,
you
I'm
think
lucky to have
if you
them.
think them that way with that much love, they're lucky. So, uh,
Okay.
what inspires you in business?
Ooh, that's a good question. You know, I up until very recently, like I'm going to say within the last 2 years, I didn't consider myself a business
Okay.
happen to make money at what I do. And I think because I've been so fortunate in that my passions have led me to employment, and I've been able to sustain my life based on what were my hobbies when I was a child. Um, so what inspires me in business now is realizing and recognizing, and I think harnessing, that I do have that entrepreneurial brain instinctually. And I didn't know that until I met somebody and they were like, nope, like you think like an
You got it.
entrepreneur, you're doing
Oh yeah, yeah.
it.
You know what? Entrepreneurship is such a broad word.
Hmm.
I I've met so many over so many years, and I'm fueled by what got them to. A lot of people don't think of themselves as entrepreneurs. It's just they have a passion about something,
Yeah.
and they just go for it, and it's a beautiful thing to see. Uh, what inspires you about life?
Oh, geez. I feel like that could get really existential, Anton.
That's my job.
I mean, like what I was talking about with my clients and the people that we interact with in the booth and at different events, I think that's what fuels me. And I draw a lot of energy from that. And, you know, this COVID-19 situation, I all of our summer events have been canceled. My entire roster is done. And that's what I'm missing the most. It's not, like I said earlier, it's not about like, oh my gosh, we're not having the revenue or whatever. Like, we'll figure that out. But it's like, we're not going to get to interact with our people, you know, and experience that energy. And I think that's what really gets me through it, and understanding what makes people tick, and how, you know, how certain things influence people to make certain choices. And if I had to choose a second profession and I had to start over, I would definitely become a psychiatrist, because like the human brain fascinates me, and I think that inspires me to really help people understand themselves and to harness whatever is inside of themselves and go out into the world and share it. Like, that's what else are we
What
here
that's
for?
you seem to use all of that. It goes back to how you run your business.
Hmm.
Your outlook on life feeds into that. Speaking of life, how are you spending your private time during physical distancing? How are you keeping safe? What are you doing to protect everyone? All that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of ironic, and I'm not sure if we took a poll of a bunch of different business owners if they would feel the same, but I mean, there is a small part of me that really enjoys this pace of life right now, where I can, like, it forces me to
It's
not
slower,
work,
I know,
you
right?
know? Yeah. I've been watching more TV than I usually do. And I got a puppy recently. So that's
Nice.
been kind of nice to, yeah, to just, again, it forces me to focus on something else other than work. And, you know, like, we've been staying in, not seeing anybody, if, you know, making sure that our outings are kind of coordinated so that you go to all of the places at once. So you only go out once a week kind of thing, having our groceries delivered. Um,
So
yeah.
you're
And just,
doing your part.
yeah, you know, it's a roller coaster. I think some days it's easier than others, but
I'm glad you got a puppy. I'm
yeah.
hearing that adoption is an all-time high. So
We were very, very
that's good. If
fortunate.
anything, yeah, a lot of loving animals are getting a home during this, so that's good.
Yeah.
Um, so everyone, when here's an example on the first episode of this show of innovation. So when you need your masks, there's the House of Sass and Magic making fabulous masks, and when we get back to be able to all the lavish events and the nightclubs, House of Sass and Magic will be there for you. So with that, let's do the contact stuff. How do we find the House of Sass Magic?
You can find us on our website, which is www.housesmtdot.com. You can also find us on Instagram at housesmt. Twitter, same handle at housesmt.
On Facebook?
Facebook, yeah, the House of Sass Magic on Facebook.
You're pretty savvy running your business on the social media. You do good with that.
Thanks. And you actually are going to be able to find us for the month of June on the Flamingo Market online site that they're doing for Pride, as well as I think Pride Toronto has some things in the work to do some virtual events and such, and we'll be part of that also.
So you're going to be busy, it seems.
Yeah, it was like there was this kind of lull while everybody figured everything out, and then in the last 2 weeks, it's just been like, okay, we're doing this. The
same thing I said on my, I said I did an earlier interview. Similar, I was talking to an artist with that case, but the same thing. The first few weeks, I keep saying that it was a shock. It was a shock for the people in us. It was the shock for the business owners in us. So. I think every business owner that I talked to for the first few was like, I don't know what to do. Yeah. But suddenly it seems like we know what to do. We are innovators. Our human spirit is always to get around things. So now I am busier than I've ever been in my life. For the last couple weeks.
I understand.
So, hey, it keeps me out of trouble. So that's a good thing. Let's close with a recommendation. We can all use some good feelings. So recommend to viewers, community, fellow business owners, etc. watching this, a book, a film, a show, a song, an activity, anything that you've been doing or reading or seeing or whatever that you think would prompt good feelings.
Well, like I said, I've been watching a lot of probably not so great TV, but this show, if I had to choose out of all of them, is a show called Songland, and it's about, it's 3 different producers and a vocal artist. And then they bring in 5 different songwriters, and they pitch a song for the artist to pick. The 3 producers go away and reproduce them. They come back, and then the artist picks one of them. And it's really cool to see the artistic process behind an actual, like, if the vocal artist isn't the songwriter. And I'm like, Monday nights at 9, it's the best.
Where's that show? Where, on what? Do you know?
I think it's on whatever channel American Idol's on. This is on the same channel. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm usually not into that kind of stuff.
It does sound inspiring, and it does sound like something that get us out of our head as well. Yeah. So that's great. Any last words? You've been delightful. Thank you. So
thank you. I appreciate it.
Take us out. Take us away.
No, just keep your spirits up, keep your chin up, and we're gonna get through this one day. It's all gonna be better, and that's just it. We're gonna learn something from.
Thank you. Everyone. So this was the first of many interviews with awesome business owners and innovators, as I said. So keep watching and take care of yourself and stay safe. Be good. Bye from myself and from the House of Sass Magic, as Stacey, right?
Yeah. Bye.